About a year ago, we first talked about the growing community of people who call themselves DINKs. Now, DINK may sound like some kind of racial slur, but it's not. It was technically. Some people used it as a pejorative term for the Vietnamese during the Vietnam War. It's also a term familiar to my fellow bass fishermen, used to describe any game fish below 12 inches in length. But in this case, DINK does not refer to either Asians or small fish. DINK is an acronym that stands for Dual Income No Kids. So these are the childless by choice folks, those who get married and could have kids, but choose instead to have a barren, sterile relationship focused entirely on their own superficial wants and desires. Now, the DINKs are getting a lot of attention these days, especially over the past week. On Monday, Business Insider ran a piece titled, "Meet the Typical DINK. They have over $200,000 in the bank and aren't paying for pricey childcare." The article tells us, quote, "It seems like everyone wants to be a DINK these days. DINK households that are double income with no kids are seeing their ranks grow, especially as a high cost of living and the climate crisis weigh particularly on people with children. There are variations on the DINK or the SINK, single income no kids. You could be a DINK WAD, which means double income no kids with a dog. DINK WADs, who previously spoke to Business Insider, said that the lifestyle gives them financial stability, the capacity to travel, and the ability to dodge the ever-increasing cost of parenthood. And it's a lifestyle that's paying off as DINKs emerge on top of a shaky economy. So who are the DINKs of America? Their ranks are set to grow, they're making six figures, and they want to spend their money on their pets and traveling. Yes, DINK WAD if you have a dog, or I guess DINK WAC if you have a cat, or DINK WAP if you own a pony or a pig or a parrot, or if you're a big Cardi B fan. There are many variations, but they all boil down to the fact that you have decided to not have kids. And as the article details, this is a rapidly growing group. Quote, around 5% of the country's total population was cohabitating couples who do not live with a child under 18, and around 29% of the total population are married couples who do not live with a child under 18, according to the 2022 American Community Survey data. Among unmarried couples, that figure is slightly up from 2019, when 4.4% of the population was cohabitating couples not living with a child under 18. The U.S. Census Bureau also finds that the aging population is increasingly child-free. As of 2018, over 1 in 7 women were childless by the time they were between the ages of 40 and 44. That's higher than the 1 in 10 women who were in the same boat as of 1976. A Pew survey found that 44% of non-parents ages 18 to 49 said that they were not likely or not at all likely to have kids at all someday, up from 37%. Okay, but what is the DINK existence really like? Well, this week there has also been, for whatever reason, a sudden surge in TikTok videos promoting this lifestyle, and most of them kind of follow the same annoying format, which looks like this. Watch.
We're DINKs. We go to Trader Joe's and workout classes on the weekends.
We're DINKs. We get into snobby hobbies like skiing and golfing.
We're DINKs. We can go to Florida on a whim.
We're DINKs. We're already planning our European vacation next year.
DINKs. We get a full 8 hours of sleep and sometimes more.
We're DINKs. We get desserts and appetizers at restaurants.
We're DINKs. We can play with other kids and give them back.
We're DINKs. We still do it 3 times a week.
We're DINKs. We spend our discretionary income on $8 lattes.
We're DINKs. We max out our 401ks, Roth IRAs, and HSAs.
We're DINKs. We don't use our kids or dog as an excuse to leave a party. We just leave.
Yes, well, I'm a CISC, single income, 6 kids, and I can do you one better. I make no excuse to leave a party because I just don't go to parties in the first place. But I guess that has more to do with being ASWIC, antisocial with kids, which isn't much different from being ASWAC, antisocial without kids. But in any case, you may notice that most of the things they're bragging about, besides the ability to leave social gatherings when they want to, which I guess they imagine for some reason is something parents aren't able to do, but most of the things all revolve around their increased ability to buy stuff. And this is a theme that runs through basically all of the DINK propaganda. Watch.
We're DINKs. We're going to get asked daily when we plan on having kids.
We're DINKs. Of course we're going to go out to eat every night after work.
We're DINKs. We don't have to ask our family for financial help or to watch our kid when we want to go out.
We're DINKs. We're going to go to Costco and buy all the snacks in bulk that we want.
We're DINKs. We have disposable income to spend on whatever we would like and don't have to spend on a kid.
We're DINKs. I'm going to go to every football game and play 18 holes whenever I want.
We're DINKs. We're going to get asked to every single family event what we're doing with our life.
Yes, we're DINKs. We can buy things. We can consume. Look at all the consuming we do. We are such dedicated consumers. You dumb parents with your dumb children. You can't possibly devote as much of your life to buying and eating, which is literally the only thing we care about in this world, apparently. And this is the message over and over again. Another example.
We're dinks. We're going to be asked constantly by family, friends, and strangers when we're going to have kids.
We're dinks. We're going to go to Costco and buy all the snacks we want.
We're dinks. We're going to support our friends who have kids, even if we decide to never have any.
We're dinks. We're dinks. We're going to have lots of disposable income to spend on whatever we like.
We're dinks. We're going to get chastised by people on the internet because they're going to assume that we're just obsessed with material things, even though arguably you need a lot more material things once you have kids.
We're dinks. We don't need to find a sitter or rope our family into babysitting when we want to go out for the night.
We're dinks. We're going to be told the only way that we'll ever be fulfilled in life is by having kids.
We're dinks. We're going to book flights whenever we feel like it.
We're dinks. We're still going to stick to a strict budget to meet our financial goals, no matter how much wiggle room we have in our finances.
We're dinks. We're not going to make a life-altering choice just because everybody else is doing it.
Period.
Now, as you're probably noticing, these people apparently have a weird preoccupation with Costco. They're making videos providing unsolicited lists of the things that make their lives fulfilling, and somehow Costco makes the cut. Here's another one. Watch.
We're kid-free, so we love to treat our furry babies just like children.
We're kid-free. We always get a full night's sleep and sometimes a nap.
We're kid-free, so obviously everyone's gonna ask us, so, when are you gonna have kids?
We're kid-free. We love our family and friends' kids, even if we don't want our own.
You're high.
You're high.
I wish. We're kid-free. Karens are constantly gonna tell us, aren't we afraid of missing out? What if you never feel fully fulfilled or unconditional love without them? Well, Karen, don't you think that's a lot of pressure to put on your kids, all of your needs? I think we'll be okay.
We're kid-free. With only 2 mouths to feed, we can prioritize better Costco snacks.
Okay, this Costco thing is really getting out of control, but let's just one more video.
Why is nobody talking about being dinks? Well, I'm freshly married and I'm going to talk about it. Here's our life as dinks in our early 30s. No shocker here, folks. Today we went to Costco.
Okay, enough with Costco. I mean, I like to buy cereal wholesale too, but I'm not going to make it my whole identity. So let's get a grip. You know, your online data includes personal information such as your name, address, phone number, email address, financial information, and login credentials. Hackers want to steal this information and sell it on the dark web, where it can be used for various criminal activities such as phishing, ransomware, and identity theft. Needless to say, it's incredibly important that you use a VPN to prevent that from happening, but choosing a VPN you trust is equally as important. That's why I recommend using ExpressVPN every time you go online. ExpressVPN makes you anonymous online by camouflaging your IP address and replacing it with a different secure IP of your choice. ExpressVPN also encrypts all of your data so that it's protected from hackers, anybody else that might be trying to spy on you. ExpressVPN is incredibly easy to use. Just fire up the app, click one button, and it's done. Plus, works on all my devices, my phone, my laptop, even my Wi-Fi router. So if you're like me and you believe your internet data belongs to you, then ExpressVPN is the answer. Visit expressvpn.com/MattWalshShow and get 3 extra months free. That's expressvpn.com/MattWalshShow. expressvpn.com/MattWalshShow to learn more. So what's really going on here? Well, let's take a step back. And first of all, a few points. Number one, are you really trying to take ownership of Costco as childless people? That's like saying that a benefit of being childless is that you get to go to the Rainforest Cafe. I mean, those places exist for us, for parents. That is our domain. And for the record, I buy whatever snacks I want for myself whenever I want them, whether from Costco or anywhere else. My children do not prevent me from indulging in that way. The only difference is that if anybody asked me to provide a list of the things that I love most about my life, I wouldn't cite the fact that I can buy snacks for myself, okay? If somebody were to come to me and say, what's the greatest thing about being you, Matt? What do you love the most? Well, I can buy snacks. I wouldn't say that, not because I can't buy snacks, but because that's a rather banal detail that I would think is probably not worth mentioning. And yet, for dinks, snacks and Costco play apparently a central role in their lives. On their deathbeds, while they're lying there alone with no one to mourn them or care that they're dying or remember them when they're gone, if the hospice nurse, who's the only person who's going to be in the room with them, asks them to pass along a final piece of wisdom, they will look up and with their final dying breath, they will whisper, "Get a Costco membership. They have great deals on Cheez-Its." See, a person's life has to revolve around something, has to be dedicated to something. And even by their own testimony, it's clear that when people choose to be childless, their lives inevitably revolve around pure, self-centered, unadulterated, unencumbered consumption. That's not my accusation. Listen to them. Like any one of these videos where these childless people talk about the benefits of being childless, that's them saying it. Is that think of all the consumption we can do. Now, of course, it's true that the same is the case for many parents in the modern world. I mean, there are many parents who their lives also revolve around consumption. But at least if you ask the average parent, however they may actually live their lives, they will at least say that the thing that gives them purpose and joy is their relationship with their children and their spouses. They will talk about their families as the foundation of their lives. That shows at the very least that they are aspiring to something higher and greater than themselves. Whether or not they actually live up to their own aspirations is a different story. But the dinks don't even aspire to the transcendent. For them, there is no meaning in life except in their ability to sleep and eat and buy stuff. It is a deeply nihilistic way to live, and this is what makes the rise of the dinks so catastrophic. That is, aside from the more immediate and obvious fact that this is a community which, if it reaches critical mass, would actually bring about the end of mankind, which, by the way, is a pretty good indication that you're making a bad lifestyle choice, okay? If your lifestyle is one that, if adopted by a majority of humans, would spell the end of the human species, then that is a very powerful sign that there is something seriously wrong with your lifestyle. But aside from that, if it's possible to put that detail aside, the rise of the childless by choice demographic is the rise of a group that has, in principle, given up on finding any meaning in life beyond the multiplication and satisfaction of desire, to use Dostoevsky's phrase. They're so dedicated to this calling, so intent on consumption, that they are willing to end their own bloodlines to pursue it. They are willing to commit a sort of ancestral suicide just so they have more time to buy stuff. Now, just consider specifically that overweight male dink in the video who's especially excited about Costco. Well, one of them anyway, because they all were. But take one of those guys and just put him in your mind. His ancestors fought and struggled and persevered and pioneered and bled and suffered, all so that he could exist. And he stands now at the end of a procession that stretches back into the ancient past. We all do, right? Every single one of us. A line of people who made his very existence possible, who migrated thousands of miles and fought wars and tamed wildernesses and built homes and civilizations, all for him. And he turns back to those people, to his ancestors, to his blood, and he says, yeah, sorry guys, we're done. We're done here. I'm going to end the bloodline right here. I'd rather have some extra spending cash to buy Doritos, I've decided. The sheer hubris is astounding. Though, of course, I realize that this man would be totally mystified by the notion that he has any responsibility at all to his family, his ancestry, his bloodline, much less to the God who created him. He hasn't thought about any of this. He's thought only about his own immediate happiness. But in pursuing happiness above all, happiness through luxury, happiness through consumption, he will miss it. Because happiness comes from fulfillment, and fulfillment comes from doing that which you are made to do. Okay, it comes from finding your place in that ancient ancestral struggle, from taking part in it, from building the next generation so that the fight can go on. Happiness comes from fulfilling your purpose in life. It comes from pursuing the transcendent, not the transactional. So, the dinks will grow in number, but they will also grow in misery. They will live superficial lives, and they will die anonymous deaths. And if they have their way, they'll take down all of civilization with them. But at least they'll get to spend more time at Costco. Thanks for checking out this video. If you'd like to listen to my full podcast on the go, you can check out The Matt Walsh Show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.